Hey guys, welcome back to another client tutorial. Today's look is going to be like a very fiery kind of smoky eye, and it's like a half cut crease as well. So I started off by priming the lids using the Make It Forever primer, and then I did set the lids with like a little bit of powder, which you did not see, and then I'm just going in with the big fluffy brush and taking this very like kind of like mustardy orange shade from the Sephora Pro Warm palette. And I'm just taking that in the outer corner all the way into the crease, making sure that it's saturated throughout the whole, like wherever I'm putting it. I'm not really having it fade a lot. And this is the only shade that I use out of that palette. I just needed something that was a little bit more of a transition shade, and the second palette that I was using wasn't really going to give me that, so I just used this one shade. And then for the rest of the look, I'm going to be using the Sephora Pro Editorial palette. I absolutely love these palettes, guys. I have 3 of them in my kit, and I feel like I can get anything done with them. So I'm just taking that very bright, vivid orange, and I'm using a little bit of a smaller brush, and just gonna place that in the outer corner. It's pretty much the same exact place that I placed the original color, just a little bit tighter and not so blown out, but again, just keeping it really nice and saturated, mainly on the outer corner this time. So my hand is covering it a little bit here, but you want to make sure that you're going back in and blending with a clean brush as well. So I kind of go back and forth between placing the color, blending it out, and then using a clean brush to blend it out even further. Just making sure that you're not putting excess product on, but you're also just making sure you have no harsh lines. So this is where we start doing the cut crease. I'm taking a little small brush, synthetic, flat, and it has a little bit of a rounded tip, which is going to help us get the shape that we want, and it's using concealer to cut the crease. So what I did is put a little bit on her lid, have her open her eye, and where it touches up top is where we're going to kind of have the shape. If you go too low and when they're opening their eye throughout the day, it's going to transfer and you're not going to have a clean line. It's going to just kind of be a mess up top. So you want to make sure it's wherever their eyelid originally like creases. So I'm taking the same brush, I'm just flipping it over, and I'm taking the shade from the Sephora Pro Editorial palette. It's just like a very like yellow gold, and I'm really just pressing that into the same place that I put the concealer. So using the kind of like rounded edge just to make sure that I'm not going over that line that I already created with the concealer. So I'm using the same brush that I used for that orange shade, and I picked up this, it's not really red, it's more like a fuchsia, really bright pink, but kind of mixed in with the orange it becomes a red, which is what I was going for. So I use that same brush, and I'm just really packing it on the outer corner and just kind of keeping it tight in there. When there's not a lot of product left on the brush, I kind of slowly soften the line that's from the shimmer shade. But I'm not taking this into the crease. I'm pretty much just keeping it at the outer corner. Again, when there's not a lot of product on my brush, I'm taking the very tip of that brush and just kind of putting it slightly through the crease, but not very much at all. Just kind of making sure that it blends nicely into the orange. And again, there are no harsh lines. We don't like lines in this house. No lines. Except for the very obvious line in her crease. But you know what I mean, okay? So now starting on complexion, her skin is already prepped with skincare, but I am taking the Becca like Skin Perfector, Shimmering Skin Perfector in the shade Opal, and I'm putting that all over her face. I really wanted to go for something very glowy, very dewy, very just beautiful, so I put that underneath the makeup, and I feel like it makes a really big difference. For her foundation, I'm using the Too Faced Born This Way. I just mixed a couple shades as you do, and yeah, so I'm just putting that all over her face with a disposable sponge, just making sure to really press it in. You don't want it like sitting on top of the skin. So yeah, just putting it everywhere. And as you could kind of see, when I put it on her forehead, it changed the color of her forehead because she did have more of like a tan go like on her forehead, which is normal. A lot of times like the forehead is like what gets the sun the most, so I kind of blank that out, which you don't really want. So I do go back in later and just make sure to kind of, you know, give that color back. So I'm going in with the same foundation, just in a lighter shade, and I'm using a stippling brush and just putting that under her eye. I'm using this as concealer just because it is a very hydrating foundation, and I wanted to keep everything super lightweight, nothing like really heavy or dry or too full coverage, especially underneath the eye. So I just went in with the same foundation because it just has a super natural glowy finish. And I am putting that same color in just like the high points of the face, a little bit between the brow and on the forehead, down the center of the nose, a little bit on the cupid's bow, and a little bit on the chin, just to, again, bring a little bit of dimension to the skin. So this is where I'm adding color back into the skin. I'm taking Shape Tape concealer in a shade that's a few shades darker than her actual skin tone, and I'm using that almost as like a liquid contour. So I'm putting it at the sides of the forehead, down the sides of the nose, on the cheekbone, and I put a little bit at the corners of the jaw, just to flatter her face shape. If you're doing makeup on clients, you really want to make sure that you're not just contouring how it looks like online on the internet or whatever. You want to make sure that you're catering to that person's face shape. It's not like a one size fits all. Everybody is different. Everybody's face is different. So the placement is really depending on face shape. And I am thinking about making a video about like face shape and eye shape and what's going to be most flattering for certain people. So if that's something you want to see, let me know and I will definitely get on it. So I'm going in now with that same liquid highlight from Becca that we used underneath the makeup and putting that as a highlight just on the very tops of the cheekbone, a little bit underneath the brow bone. I took it down the center of the nose, the cupid's bow, and I put a little bit above the brow, kind of going inwards of the forehead. And I can't remember if I put any on the chin, but probably. I went ahead and did a few things off camera, filled in her brow, applied the lashes, and then smoked out the lower lash line. So now I'm just going in with a little bit of blush, taking the Sephora collection blush palette. I think there's 2 matte shades in it. I used the one down at the bottom just because we do have a lot of shine going on already on the skin, so I didn't want to create too much shimmer. So yeah, I went ahead and did that, and then now I'm going in with the Anastasia lip palette. I love that one shade in it. I know there's plenty of shades, okay, but that one shade is beautiful. So I used it and it looked great. It was literally like her lip color but better. So yeah, I used that and I didn't really put anything else on the lip.